Israel-Iran News Now. A U.S. government document suggests that Israel is breaking international law. Memorandum reveals that senior U.S. officials have voiced concerns to Secretary of State Antony Blinken about Israel's assertions of following international humanitarian law with U.S.-supplied weapons. Reuters reported on Saturday that an internal State Administration paper revealed a complex and split position within the administration with regard to the credibility and trustworthiness of Israel's promises. Blinken must report to Congress by May 8 assessing the veracity of Israel's assertions and if they infringe upon U.S. or international law, as per a U.S. President Joe Biden-issued National Security Memorandum from February. 7 divisions within the State Department had sent Blinken their preliminary options memo feedback by March 24. Some of the memo's contents were classified and hence not made public until now. Some components in the department backed accepting Israel's guarantees, some preferred rejecting them, and some had no opinion, a U.S. official mentioned. The allegation that Israel violated international humanitarian law during the Gaza conflict was a major point of contention for 4 bureaus: International Organization Affairs, Population, Refugees and Migration, Global Criminal Justice, and Democracy, Human Rights and Labor. In their combined statement, the officials drew attention to 8 separate incidents involving Israeli military operations that they viewed as potentially violative of international law. Striking protected sites and civilian infrastructure on multiple occasions, inflicting unconscionably high levels of civilian harm to military advantage, failing to investigate violations or punish those responsible for substantial civilian harm, and killing humanitarian workers and journalists at an unprecedented rate were all part of these actions. The study went on to detail 11 other incidents when Israeli military operations arbitrarily limited humanitarian supplies, such as the rejection of whole relief trucks because of a single dual-use item. Also brought to light in the evaluation were the recurrent assaults on humanitarian sites that ought to be off-limits and the arbitrary restrictions placed on inspections. Reuters also looked at a paper from the Bureau of Political and Military Affairs, which raised worries about possible dangers to the Israeli government in the event that U.S. weapons deliveries were to be halted. In addition to USAID officials, the Israel regime has claimed that the deaths of about 32,000 people, roughly 2/3 of whom were civilians, could constitute a violation of international humanitarian law. According to the article, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been ignoring calls to halt aid to Israeli soldiers in response to human rights abuses. On March 25, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller verified that the department had indeed received these promises. Nevertheless, the State Department will withhold a complete evaluation of their trustworthiness until the May 8 report to Congress. Memorandum requests formal assurances from nations receiving U.S.-funded weaponry that they are not violating international humanitarian law or blocking U.S. humanitarian help, does not impose additional legal criteria. It is within Biden's power to put a stop to or place restrictions on the export of American weaponry. First made public earlier this month, his false threat to limit the shipment of U.S. weaponry to the occupied territories on the Israeli government's action to alleviate the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza.